the moon really is what you think it is, suit up. The epic disaster movie was released on February 3rd this year, but anyone who's already watched it will know that the ending of the movie very strongly suggests that a sequel will arrive very soon. So stay with us until the end, as we have some really great news to share with you. The movie met with mixed reviews from critics, however it ends on a good note. While unexpected, the ending of Moonfall suggests that the story could continue. Of course, if the focus remains on the moon. Okay, let's make a short recap. Roland Emmerich, who's a co-writer, director, and producer, destroys the world again with Moonfall. The German nihilist blockbuster filmmaker and a conspiracy theory lover is known as the master of disaster. With his own global warming epic, The Day After Tomorrow, and Independence Day, he made a world disaster 3 times. Moonfall is showing us the horror that could happen if the moon were to go out of orbit and crash into our planet. Before that great crash, Earth's gravity will be increasing out of whack, while our natural satellite would dump debris as it gets closer. So as in many other Hollywood disaster movies, the world is coming to an end here as well. There's one difference though, here the moon is the villain.
They built planetary structures, operated by benign artificial intelligence and fueled by the abundant energy of.
The American military realizes that they'll have to destroy the moon. But there's something else going on, and something inside of it. An evil force has now invaded the moon, which is a megastructure built by our ancestors using the most advanced tech. So it's ultimately up to 3 smart people to stop it from destroying our planet. A courageous head of NASA, Jocinda Fowler, a disgraced astronaut, Brian Harper, and conspiracy theorist named Casey will go on a dangerous mission. Of course, Casey will find out about this change and leak it to the media. NASA will identify that there are only about 3 weeks left, so they're off in a shuttle with eventually no crew on the ground. All 3 of them have their own personal on-the-ground drama. There's Jocinda and her son and her ex-husband, Brian and his troublesome son Sonny, and his ex-wife and their 2 girls, Casey and his mother and his cat, Fuzz Aldrin. So some would say that the movie is a long locomotive of one cliche attached to another, but it was very well accepted by the movie experts. Emmerich really flexed his wackier muscles in the 3rd act of the movie, so we got crackpot stuff with an explanation about our natural satellite that is worthy of its own History Channel series. So if we're done with the good reviews, let's mention some of the most brutal critics. There are those who are claiming that Moonfall forgets that it's dealing with an apocalypse, meaning that something devastating happens in the background of a shot and the characters are barely reacting. They're saying that there's no room for the usual interludes of destruction from previous Emmerich films, and Moonfall made the apocalypse feel lifeless. But the most important thing is that the movie gained a huge fan base, and they're constantly asking when we'll see Moonfall 2. Moonfall was released in theaters on February 9th, 2022. The movie held its world premiere on January 31st, 2022 in Los Angeles. Upon release, the Moonfall received a mixed response, meaning it failed to impress the critics. Some critics criticized the narrative and pacing, while others praised the movie's disaster thriller elements and use of science fiction tropes. The fans, however, don't feel disheartened. There have been no official renewal announcements regarding the release of the sequel as of yet, but it appears that a follow-up is undoubtedly in the plans. Speaking to Collider, Roland Emmerich said, "I'm also not very high on sequels, but I tried this time to make this a trilogy, but I'm not sure even if I want it anymore." So we can see that he's a little hesitant about pursuing a second installment, but certainly still got it on his mind. It took roughly 2 years for the first movie to arrive on screens after starting production, and if the second part does materialize, it might follow a similar production schedule. Therefore, we shouldn't expect Moonfall 2 to release before spring 2024. Moonfall stars Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry in the lead roles of former NASA astronauts Brian Harper and Jocinda Fowler. Joining them are John Bradley as Casey Houseman, a conspiracy theorist who will smash that like and subscribe button just like you should if you haven't done so already. No, really, in all seriousness, in the movie he discovers the incoming moon's impact on Earth, and the first guy who finds out about the moon is artificial, Michael Peña as Tom Lopez, Charlie Plummer as Sonny Harper, Brenda and Brian's estranged son Azriel Delman as young Sonny Harper, then Kelly Yu as Michelle, a foreign exchange student, and many others. For the potential sequel, we expect most of the lead actors to reprise their roles. Despite his character's seemingly dire fate at the end of the first movie, Bradley is likely to return in some form in the sequel, and could still play a major role in the next installment. It's also expected that most of the supporting cast members are also likely to return, depending on their schedules. Roland Emmerich, the director, initially envisioned Moonfall as a trilogy. Now he's saying that he's not sure if he wants to do a sequel, but that if it happened, he'd include a cliffhanger ending that will keep audiences in suspense. Anyway, we can say that Moonfall's ending perfectly sets up the sequel movie. The surprise at the end of the movie certainly teases that there could be much more to the story, especially if we keep the focus on the moon. After Casey makes that sacrifice and his consciousness is scanned by the AI tech, he'll find out that there's work to be done and they should get started on it, meaning that there will be another chapter of the story. But what can we find out more? Well, the movie only revealed just a small part of the backstory regarding the moon being a megastructure and how it's connected to ancient human history. There's still a lot more to be explored and discovered. Moonfall 2 might also explore Casey helping the ancestors to begin a new life on yet another planet. Who knows? Perhaps creating another megastructure moon to breed new life would be a great idea. Whatever the case, the ending is pretty open for more stories to develop. Roland Emmerich often talks about why people love world disaster movies. In one interview, he would say, "I also don't want to compete with real-life disasters because they're so terrible. I also have the feeling I should stop making disaster movies because probably there's a moment which has already passed. It's like there's a moment of no return when it comes to global warming. And I'll do everything in my power to help with my movies or with my filmmaking, because that really concerns me," he added. Putting the focus on real-life disasters again, it's well known that in order to create, Roland Emmerich surrounds himself with memories of destruction. So if you go into his office, you'll see mementos from his catastrophe movies, The Day After Tomorrow, Independence Day, and 2012. His office also is a testament to his projects. The German filmmaker wanted to make this project for years and initially wanted to sell the concept to Universal, but it languished for a few years. When he regained the rights, he took to Cannes, where he raised enough capital to make an independently $138 million movie. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on the first movie? Do you think that the sequel will reach its expectations? What do you think about the cast list? Which characters that haven't been mentioned should appear? And what are your suggestions? If you like the video, like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll never miss our next videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.